Welcome to part 3 of complex ABAP report to RAP development. So, in today's session, we will try and understand the importance of dollar top, dollar skip. We will also try to understand how RAP uh, calls the OData methods, right, for fetch, getting the data and stuff like that uh, in a dollar batch call. And finally, we will try to enhance our uh, class in order to actually go and uh, cater to these kind of situations where we need to pass the proper data. Okay. Now, what happens is whenever we press on the go button on the selection on the main page by providing either some filters or without a filter, a batch call will be triggered by RAP framework. And what happens is, as you can see, there are two get calls that are clubbed together into one batch, and it will be actually thrown to the backend, wherein it will be actually two of the uh, services will be actually called. Okay, one is to get the dollar count, which is nothing but the number of counts that is actually matching the filter criteria, because we are passing the filter as well. If no filter is there, it is nothing but the total number of counts for that particular entity will be actually shown back. And second call would be to get the actual data. Okay, so remember that whenever there is a call that is happening, when you press the go button, there will be two calls that will be clubbed together into one batch call and will be sent to the backend, wherein the backend will process and it will give the return value back to both of them. Okay. Now, what happens and when we actually go and not cater to the dollar top or the dollar skip, what will happen? We will see in a bit. These are very important things, and that is why we, as in our last session also, we have seen that we have not implemented the dollar top and dollar skip. As soon as we implemented those methods, our query started running and we were able to get the data. Now we have just actually fetched the dollar top and dollar skip values by using the IO filter, IO request, get paging, get page size, and get offset method, respectively, for dollar top and dollar skip. But we have not utilized them in our code so far. And still, our report was working fine. But since we had only few of the data, it was working fine. But that is not the right way of handling the dollar skip and dollar top, especially in case when you are actually creating a custom entity. Because custom entity, there is no select query that you can trigger on custom entity. That is one more point that you should remember, guys, that custom entities cannot be used in a select statement in ABAP, like what we can actually call uh, the normal CDS entities in a select query. So you can write a select query on our GMAKSI underscore contact underscore M or U, right? But you cannot call the custom entity in your select statement. Why? Because of course it's not a database table where the select query works on. So the select query, whatever we give as a select statement in ABAP, will then be actually taken by the query runtime. It will convert it to backend native SQL statement, and then it will fire the SQL statement and get the data and then send. But in this case, that is not the reality because all the data is actually being fetched by a ABAP class. So that is why it is not feasible to call the custom entity in a select statement. Okay. Now let us see how we can actually understand whether the batch call that is actually calling is calling for the number of records, that is nothing but the dollar count, or is it calling for the actual data with dollar top and dollar skip there. Okay. For that, we already have two. We have seen the first one is data requested in our last session. This will give me whether the actual data is requested, yes or no. There is one more method called is total num of rec requested. This method will give tell us whether the dollar count is requested, yes or no. Okay. So depending on what um, is requested, we should actually go and fetch our data accordingly, right? So we will have to now understand the importance of dollar skip, dollar top, dollar count that is actually coming in, right? All those things we should actually take care. Otherwise, it is going to give us a trouble, and soon we will see what that trouble is. Okay. So with that, let us now get into the system and understand how we should actually go and cater our uh, code or tweak our code so that we are able to make our code fully functional, fully workable, guys. Okay. So let me now go to our uh, clips and then execute my, I have already executed it. So let me now go to my browser and show you what is happening here. So if I refresh it now, okay, okay, before we actually go there, let me also show you something that I have done. So let me go to my Eclipse and show you what I have actually done. So let me just go to our contact table, okay, and if I press F8 here, okay, to get the data, I have actually gone and filled some of the additional data here. Previously, we were just having few of them, 7 or 8 records, or I think 3 records there, right? Where we had some records there. I don't remember. But now what I have done is actually I have gone and added more records to this. And now we have a total of 26 records. Okay. So now what will happen? Let us go to our browser now and try to execute this. And this time, actually, I want to fetch all the records. Okay. And as you know that I have already implemented this all logic in our custom class. Okay. Now what happens is when I am actually trying to do that, it is just raising a dump. See, a short dump is raised. Why? I will show you that in a bit. So let us go and inspect what is happening behind the scene. So to inspect, you go to Network tab, filter it on OData and press a Go button. Okay, a dollar batch will be called. Of course, it is failing here because of some reason, but what happens is, if you can see, it is first sending the count request, then it is sending the get data request, right? And then if you see our response, the response says that a short dump is raised because there is some error. So please go and analyze your runtime error. Okay. If you go to your runtime, let me show you that as well in our Eclipse. So if you go to our Eclipse and then if you see the errors in the feed reader, if you don't have this reader open, okay, let me show you that as well, how you can open it. So you go to window, you say show view and go to others, and here you type in feed reader. Okay, and you will get this. So once you have this feed reader, you can go and check what happened here. You see, it says there is some error here that is popping up. And what it says get filter is missing. Okay, query not fully covered by implementation, right? So filtering is not happening there, guys. Okay, and where it is happening? It is happening in our class that we have actually added to this particular thing. So these things we should take care now. Okay. So how we are going to take care? Let me close this all and let me go to my custom contact where we have actually gone and implemented our logic. Okay. Now what we had implemented so far is just to read the data. Okay. Get the get the data back here if it is all. And then we were actually getting the dollar skip and dollar top. Okay. This is actually not needed, our LT sort and stuff like that. Then we were getting our LTT. And then based on that LTT, if it is an object page, we were just filtering it. Okay. Based on the contact ID and the address ID. But now what is happening is since we have not implemented and our records are more than 20, and as you could see in our the call, let me show you that also quickly. In our call that is happening, it is actually asking first is the count, which is just a filter. But if you see here, it is saying that, okay, give me the first top 20. And we already have more than 20, which is 26 records in our filter, in our table. And we are actually calling it with all. That means all the records should be fetched, which is more than 20. Okay. And that is where the problem is coming. So now how should we go and tackle these kind of scenarios? Let us now go to our Eclipse and start doing the changes there. So what we have to do now first is we will have to cater these requests. Okay. And it will be called twice, guys. Okay. Two times it will be called. So let me just define two variables. LV, I will say count requested is equal to again IO request dash it has got is total number of count requested. That's the method that we have to use, guys. And then I will say is LV I will say data requested. Again IO request is data requested. Now we have to actually get the data irrespective whether the count is requested or the data is requested. So our logic when data is requested of getting that is not correct. Okay. We will have to get the data irrespective whether the count is requested or the data is requested. Okay. Now, for that, what we should do now is we should remove this. Okay. And let me remove the NDIF also. Correct. Now, what will happen is this get filter data will be filled in for us. We will go, we will get the data as usual. This will continue for us. Now it will be called in both the scenarios. In both the scenarios, guys. Okay. It will be called in both the scenarios. And it will fetch us the data where which we are actually filtering. Right. Now, what should we do here? First of all, if the dollar skip is 0, right? Let me just put that also, that if it is 0, make it to 1 so that we can skip the number of record, else it will be dollar skip. Sorry, LV skip. So we are now getting the top and the skip value. We are getting the entity. If our entity is our entity, then go and fetch the data. Once the data is been fetched, right? The the number of uh, you know records that will be coming in our dollar top is when actually the data is requested, not the count is requested, right? So what we should do is we should actually check whether filter dollar top and dollar skip filter according to dollar top and dollar skip. That is what we will have to now do. And how we will be doing is, or else say filter. Yeah, this is fine. Okay. So for that, what we should do is we should check first if LV data is requested is equal to ABAP true, then do something. And what is that something? We will have to filter the data depending on the LV skip and the LV top value that we have already got. For that, what I will do is I will just move the data to contact LV output TMP is nothing but our LT output. Then I am also defining a count which is equal to 0, and then I am clearing LT output TMP so that LT output TMP is blank now with the same structure that we have in our LT output. Now what we have to do is we will have to start looping at LT output from LV skip into data ls output. Okay. So what we are saying that, okay, you take the first record from how many record is skipped. We need to skip that many record you skip and take the data from that particular records onwards. Okay. Then I will say, okay, increase the LV count by 1 because I have just set it to 0. Okay. And check whether LV count is greater than LV our top. Okay. If it is greater than our LV top, then we don't need to actually go and fill in the data. So if it is less than LV top, means start from the the number of records that we have to start from. If it is 0, then start from 1. Okay. And how many records we have to get? In our first call, it will be 20. So this loop will actually execute 20 times. And what we have to do? We have to actually add the data to our temp table. And for that, what we should do? We'll say append ls output to lt output temp. Okay. This is what we should do. And this will actually filter our data based on the dollar top and dollar skip values. Okay. Finally, what we will have to do, the filtered data is already where it is in our LT output temp. So if that value is already filled in, okay, then it is always better to go and add the data back to our LT output. Okay. And how we will be doing that is just check if our LT output EMP is not initial. I don't think this is required, but let us keep this also. LT output is equal to LT output EMP. So move the data or filter data to our LT output, the main table, because that is what we will be setting in our in our object in our the data that is going back. Okay, and this also should come in, I believe. Okay, we will just pass this here. Okay, so that if the data is requested, that means the contact ID might have been filled here. Okay, now once, so this object page filtering will also work here. Now what we should do is we should set this data back, right? Now there are two parts to it. One is that we have to set it. Previously we were just setting it with the total number of lines and the request data. Okay. Now in this time, what we should do is, if let us first see if the count is requested. Okay, if the count is requested, if that is ABAP true, that means we will have to set the number of count, and that is nothing but whatever line number of records we have, that we are actually assigning it to the total number of counts. Okay. Now this set data we should do if LV, what was the other thing? Data requested is equal to ABAP true. Then only you should go and pass the data back. So what will happen now? It will just fetch the data. If the count is requested, then we just pass the counts. Data is not passed. If the count is not requested, then you pass. If the data is requested and count is not requested, you just pass the data back. What will happen in this case? The first call with count will take the total number of records in the database, which should be 26 in our case, right? And it should actually, the second call should actually go and fetch the data for the actual number of records that is based on the filter condition. And that data will be actually put it back to the front end. Now there is an error here. What is the error? Let us see quickly. Let's go to problem, and oh, it is already declared because we have used the same here. So I will use the same thing here. Okay. Let me put this here. Okay. And now let me activate this. Okay, with this change, let us try and understand what happens to our uh, application now. So let us go to our application. Okay, and let me refresh this. And of course, when you refresh, I'm just saying the inspect also. Okay, it will do many OData calls for getting the I-18 properties, getting the and finally it will actually, you see, many things it is loaded. Now, once you are saying all here, what happens is there is again, let me clear this out. As we have seen, there will be two things that will be called. Okay, and you see this time it is passed. Okay, this time it is passed, but the issue is it is giving me how many? Only 7 records. Even though I have said, okay, give me all the records. Okay, so let us try and understand where it is failing. So the best option is go set a breakpoint and see what we have to do. Okay, so let me set a breakpoint there and let us now go to our press a go button here and it should ideally stop at our packet. If you don't know how you should debug, please go and watch my uh, one video on how to debug in ADT. That will give you the clear cut idea on how you should go ahead and uh, debug the code. So let us now go and see what is happening here. And as you can see, it has stopped here because I have set a breakpoint there. Let me make this a bit smaller. Okay. And let us understand first what is happening here. So LV count is, you see, count is requested. So this is going for the first time. So we go here, we come here, we take the filter and our filter will always be passed because the filter is coming with the first name as all there. Okay. We go here, we create all our filters and everything. Let us come here directly. Okay. And then based on our LR filter, which we should have one record, right? We should not have any records because we are skipping this for the all record. That means it should get all the records here. So if I execute this, what is our the output has? It has got 27 records as you can see here. Okay. Now what I am doing here is count is requested. I am just setting back the total number here. Okay. For total number of counts, which is correct. And now second time it comes and it this time the count requested will be blank, but the data requested will be true. Okay, again let us go here and come here directly, execute. We know that okay, our LT output will now have 27 record, and now we will have to just go and filter this out. Okay, our LV skip is 0. Okay, it should have been 1. Why it is 0? Okay, oh, it should be less than equal to 0 here. That's fine. So then we just go and add that, and that is why the problem would be. Okay, and you see the LV count, and what is our LV top is 20. So let us come here. Let's see what is happening. What is that we have in our LT output temp? And LT output temp is just giving me 7 records, which is not correct. So basically why it is giving, maybe it is actually taking it from somewhere else. So let us now go and do that changes quickly. So if my top is less than or equal to 0, or my this thing is less than equal to 0, activate this. I am going back to my browser and hitting all again, and it should again fetch us back here. Okay, we are back here, guys, with our filtering criteria. And let me now go directly here and stop at this point where the data is requested. Okay, second time, if the data is requested, we are going and saying LV temp. It should skip from 1 now till the dollar top is 20. Let us come here and see how much we have. Oh, it is always taking from 20. Let me just quickly check this. What is the issue? And I think the issue should be somewhere here. We are saying skip from that top record, and then if it is greater, no, it should be less than equal to for less than equal to, you just take, otherwise it was actually taking the greater than, means it will skip the first 20 records because we are actually adding it. So this should be less than equal to, guys. Okay, let me quickly activate this, and let us now go back to our uh, browser and then again refresh and see it. Okay, let me just remove this. And I am saying, okay, give me all, go, and it has stopped the breakpoint. Let me remove that also. And you see now we are getting total number of records are 27, but it will not show 27 here. If you just scroll this up, guys, it will show you how many, 20 at a time. Okay. So now what will happen is, as soon as you click on, you scroll it down, right? Then the next call will be done and it will be getting the things. Now, if I just am adding for Munir as my filter, then it should give me only 2 records. Okay. So remember that point very, very clearly, that we need to actually understand the dollar skip and dollar top is very, very important in case of custom entity. Okay. And you will have to code that accordingly. Sometimes you have to go and debug your code and then, uh, you know, start looking into those kind of things. Okay. With that, I would like to stop here. Hope this was self-explanatory. It was helpful for you guys, and uh, it might actually help to implement all your custom entities accordingly. I would like to request you to please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel so that I keep on creating such new difficult situations for you guys. Please also share with your colleagues so that they also get benefited out of it. Also, please hit the like button, because when you hit the like button, it will be then shown to other people as well. So requesting you to please do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you and happy learning.